Shalom. This week's Sedra is Sedra Mishpatim. There are some prohibitions that are not unique to Judaism and the Torah. These mitzvot have been found across all societies, religions, and nations. Their evil is so obviously apparent that its reasoning doesn't need to be explained. The Sefer Hachinuch, which gives reasons for almost all the prohibitions, omitted a reason for kidnapping and said that its reasoning is just clear. An example of a prohibition found across all communities, kidnapping, is one of the prohibitions of the Ten Commandments and is mentioned in this week's Torah portion. God wrote, and pardon me for reading, "He who kidnaps a man, if he has sold him and is still holding him, shall be put to death." Although the word "and" is seemingly innocuous, it is the source of great debate in this prohibition. Two of our great scholars debate if the word, which in the biblical hero is actually just a letter vav, means "and," or it possibly means the word "or." Rav Sedra Mishpatim understood the word to mean "or" and wrote that anyone that kidnaps a Jew and sells them, or the abductee is found in the possession of the kidnapper, should be put to death. Rav Avram, the son of Maimonides, wrote that Rav Sedra Mishpatim was incorrect. The word in the command prohibiting kidnapping isn't "or," rather it means "and." Unlike Rav Sedra interpretation, which saw no difference between whether the kidnappers used his hostage or just held his hostage in captivity, Rav Avram understood that there is a difference whether the kidnapper used his hostage or just held them in captivity. In his codification of the prohibition of kidnapping, the Rambam wrote that according to Jewish law, the prohibition of abduction and the death penalty imposed on the kidnappers are only applicable when four conditions are met. The first is that there is an abduction of a person. The second is that the abductee is kept in the kidnapper's premise. The third, the abductee is enslaved by the kidnapper. And fourth, the kidnapper is sold to another person. Why are all these additional factors necessary to incur the death penalty when it comes to kidnapping? Why isn't it sufficient to just simply kidnap a person? A novelist whose name is Dr. Yosodimna Iwela discussed the evil of kidnapping, and this is fascinating. Listen to what he wrote. The kidnapped person is so tantalizing close, kept alive by devastating hope. Kidnapping or hostage taking is perhaps the most disturbing form of terror because it turns this hope into a liability that can paralyze. In many ways, kidnapping is the worst cruelty that can be perpetrated on another person. It physically hampers a person while psychologically devastating the victim and their family. Our scholars debate what would be required to transform an already cruel practice into something much worse, worthy of incurring a death penalty. Rav Avram maintained that the kidnapper would need to use his victim. Rav Sedra Mishpatim held that it would be enough to merely hold on to the person to achieve a level of cruelty sufficient to merit execution. Thankfully, kidnapping isn't the common practice. A person isn't plagued by the worry that one day they too might kidnap someone. The laws of kidnapping seem irrelevant, but they teach an important lesson that extends far past the prohibition of kidnapping. Along with every act of physical cruelty perpetrated on another person is a psychological trauma that is just as bad and sometimes even worse. Mental anguish is a cruelty that plagues everyone, and each person must avoid causing that pain to other people. You and I are never going to kidnap anybody, but many times we cause that same mental anguish that kidnapping brings to a lot of other people. Let's remember that and keep in mind and try very hard not to cause anguish to anyone. Shabbat Shalom.